So last night's debate, how do you feel about it?
I feel really good. I think it went well from our standpoint. We were able to bring out my record of results in Minnesota, cutting government spending, getting healthcare reform done the right way, appointing conservative judges and more. And I think that's the kind of results the country needs. And that's why I think our campaign in Iowa is picking up some momentum.
What happened to Mr. Minnesota Nice?
Well, leaders have to have more than one gear, and I appreciate people think I'm nice. That's a good thing, but you also have to have strength. And Ronald Reagan, I think, showed us a leadership style where you can be both nice and strong, and you got to have more than one gear, and I got more than one gear.
Some say you went from nice to nasty.
Well, I answered the questions that were put before us, and look, part of this is going to be contrasting with other candidates in different issue positions, and that issue was asked, and so it got answered.
Romney has been the front runner, and yet you chose to draw distinctions with Michelle Bachmann. Why?
Well, Nora, look, I also drew distinctions with Romney, and if you'll remember during the debate, I talked about the differences in his healthcare approach and mine in Minnesota. We talked about his judicial appointments. We talked about his spending patterns. Had a little fun with him about mowing his lawn, and so it wasn't just about Congresswoman Bachmann. We also engaged with Mitt, but the press, I think, skipped past that part.
Why do you feel it was so important to engage with Michelle Bachmann?
Well, then I got asked a question by the panel, so I answered it, and then
you had a line ready. You had a line ready to really point out that you think that. It appeared that way. It really appeared.
It didn't come across as spontaneous to you?
No, it seemed like you really wanted to make the point that you think that that she's had a lack of leadership in Congress, that she has inexperienced and inept.
Well, look, a minimum requirement if you're going to be the party's nominee, if you're going to beat Barack Obama and to be president of the United States, is have executive experience, but not just that experience, you got to have results. And so Congresswoman Bachmann's done some wonderful things in her life, but her record of results in Congress really is non-existent. And it's not enough to just say I was a voice for this or a voice for that. You got to produce the results. And if you're going to self-label that you're a leader, then you got to be accountable for producing results. And so, as I said last night, you can't say, as she does, I led the charge against Obamacare. Well, then we ended up with Obamacare.
But this wasn't just a clear contrast. You said you're killing us.
Well, what I said was, if your example of results is you led the charge against Obamacare and we ended up with Obamacare, and you led the charge against TARP and we ended up with TARP, and you led the charge against more government spending, we ended up with more government spending, that's not exactly the record of results that we need, and it's killing us.
Are you frustrated? You've been the governor of Minnesota. You've campaigned in this state for more than a year, very aggressively the last 2 months, that a congresswoman from your state, who just announced several months ago, is cleaning your clock?
No, I'm not frustrated. Look, these early polls aren't good predictors of anything, and a lot of times candidates get in, there's an initial buzz. But keep in mind, the journey towards the White House in this campaign is a long haul, and people get intense scrutiny over a long time. And so you gotta be able to not just be popular or whatever in the first 30 days. You got to be able to sustain this over the long haul.
But you banked a lot on your performance in the straw poll. What if you don't finish in the top two?
Look, I'm confident we're going to do well in the straw poll tomorrow.
In the top two?
Well, we haven't put a number on it, but our goal is to move from the back of the pack to towards the front of the pack, and I'm confident we'll do that. And my record of getting things done as governor of Minnesota, the kinds of things that the country needs, is now getting out across Iowa, and we're getting more and more support. So we've got momentum here.
If you don't meet your goal, will you reevaluate your campaign?
I'm confident that we will. But look, if we flame out tomorrow, we may have to retrench, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm confident we're going to do very well.
And then Texas Governor Rick Perry is about to enter the race. And how do you think you can compete against him?
Well, first of all, Rick's not officially in the race yet, but obviously he's going to get in. I welcome him to the race. I like Rick. We've served together as governors. I've traveled internationally with him. I know him well. We get along well.
How are you better than him?
Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses, and we'll let him get in the race before we start debating that.
Okay. Thank you, Governor.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. The noise, it's a straw poll.
I understand.
I mean, it's the...
State fair.
Yeah, we got to go over the straw poll stuff.
Right.
How do you... you spent a lot of time here, and I think you've clearly invested a lot in the straw poll. If you don't finish in the top two, will you reevaluate your campaign?
I'm confident, Nora, that we're going to move from the back of the pack to towards the front of the pack. That's our goal. But being here for the last couple of weeks, campaigning hard, we feel momentum as my record of getting results, not just talking about things, is getting out. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think we're going to have good results tomorrow.
And what if you don't meet your goal?
I think we will, but obviously, if we come in last or some ridiculous result, then we'll reevaluate. But I don't think that's going to happen, so I think it's a mood issue.
Why are you so confident that you'll do well?
I've been traveling the state for the last 3 weeks in cafes and small gatherings, large gatherings, and I can sense that people really are responding to this message that, look, with Barack Obama, we had enough of the fancy talk. It doesn't put gas in our car. It doesn't give us a job. It doesn't pay our grocery bill. We got to have results, and that's what I bring to the table. And I think people are saying, yeah, he's right, and now we're getting more support.
In hindsight, do you think you should have invested so much in this straw poll? I mean, it's not really even a poll. It's not really even a test of popularity. It's a test of organizing, and where you can buy people's tickets and provide the best entertainment in a petting zoo. I mean, is that really representative of how well you can do as a candidate?
Well, the straw poll is one benchmark along the way. The ultimate benchmark for Republicans here is the caucuses next January and February. But the straw poll is a benchmark. It's not the final one. It's not the only one. But it's an important benchmark of how you're doing organizationally. So we're happy to compete. We didn't get dragged into it.
And you have to do well, right?
We have to show some good progress, and I'm confident we will.
Because why? You need it for fundraising, or?
No, because the preseason's over, the warm-ups are over. We view the straw poll as kind of the kickoff to the formal campaign season, and at the time of the kickoff, now this counts. And so we're going to show some progress, show some momentum, and I know that we will, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you down the trail as we move towards the caucuses.